Hello and welcome back to Down the Track. Today, Chennai Super Kings beat the Sunrisers Hyderabad in Dubai. It was a close-ish game, but in the end, a 20-run victory for CSK. I have with me, as usual, my co-host, Mr. Abrar Aziz. How are you doing?
Doing okay. I mean, just kind of expected the boogie team, Chennai coming out coming in form, and suddenly everyone's talking about them being sneaking into top four and all of that stuff. And and these pitches are going to start helping them. I've been saying this. I've been saying Chennai will make the top four if the pitches start to help them, and it's starting to show. They have the likes of Piyush Chawla, Karan Sharma. An absolute incredible player in Imran Tahir in their flanks as well. He could be used potentially at some point. All they need to do is just score those 150, 160 runs every game, and they have the bowling that can take care of itself.
Yeah,
So
definitely. With the pitches slowing down, we saw today like they're 167, 168. Everyone was saying is a parish total, but with the bowling attack they had and the pitch slowing down so much, no dew coming into play. So I think they played in their hands and they bowled really well. It wasn't easy for the Sunrisers batsmen. I think apart from Williamson, everyone found it tough. And you could see that once the asking grade got to a certain level, it wasn't easy to just pick up the boundaries like we saw earlier in the tournament.
absolutely, 100%. I mean, like this is going to be the norm going forward. Even Sharjah, you saw like weakness in Sharjah pitchers. You're seeing it in Abu Dhabi has been like that for the longest time. Dubai, you're starting to see it. Sharjah, you're starting to see it. This is going to be the norm. It's going to be who can really kind of bring out their real skill. The real talented world class players will show now. We saw ABD yesterday. We saw Kane to an extent today. Although he wasn't able to get the team home, but we saw that to an extent today. So these are the kind of guys who are going to really matter, and whoever can understand these conditions and really come out on top will come out on top once they figure those conditions out and play accordingly.
Yeah, and actually their batting also. It seems that Chennai's batting they favor these kind of conditions. We saw Watson and Raidu. They attacked Rashid Khan for a couple of sixes. They played him fairly comfortably compared to other teams. He still
Yeah.
only went for like 30 runs in his 4 overs, but it's very expensive compared to Rashid Khan's previous
Yeah.
games. But
Yeah.
they're fairly comfortable against him, and they rotated the strike decently. Not the fastest runners between the wickets, but like these kind of pitches, they played really well.
Absolutely, absolutely. They did a decent job. Like I said, I mean, Raidu is also a class player, no doubt about that. He lacks urgency, but he brings it up with skill. Watson also, I mean, he's been there, done that for a long time for Chennai, for Australia. He's been doing that for a long time. So I mean, this is a solid team. That this is an experienced team, and this is when these kind of conditions and with the middleweight stage, the likes of Bravo picking up, the likes of Watson picking up. Faf has been good for them. Rado coming into the picture, and these old bowlers in Piyush Chawla using their Jaddu, Piyush Chawla, and Khan Sharma using their spin to effectively to restrict the Sunrisers side. I mean, it shows that these guys are not to be taken lightly as of right now, at least.
Yeah, but there are still some issues that Dhoni also mentioned. He wasn't fully satisfied. He also said a very important thing that like one game we can't just cover the cracks. There are still issues, and you could see that like they had a stranglehold on the game, but Williamson was there. Then Rashid came in and hit a few boundaries. So there is an issue still with the death bowling. It might Bravo, yes, he bowls the slower balls and stuff, but he has the potential to get hit when he bowls in the slot.
100%. I think 100%. There are weaknesses in this team, in this Chennai team, still for sure, no doubt about that. But it's a work in progress, and they're going in the right direction. So that's what they'll be happy about for sure.
Yeah, and if you want to talk about the Sunrisers, Hyderabad, like bowling, it seemed decent. Like at one stage, it looked like 180 was on the cards when Watson and Raidu were batting because they had a lot
Yeah.
of wickets in hand, eight
Yeah.
wickets in hand, and 5 overs to spare. But they restricted them well. But would you say like maybe 10 runs too many, or was it just that they should have still chased it down? And would you blame the batting more?
No, I think definitely 10, 15 runs, 10, 15 runs too many. I think got a couple of quick wickets early on. I mean, yes, Karan gave us hit a few off of Khalil, but he went fairly quickly. We got Faf in the first ball duck, so that's a rare duck for him. I think Sandeep Sharma, Natarajan, Nadeem, and to an extent Rashid bowled well. I think Khalil went for a lot of runs, and that's always been an issue. I mean,
He's
you have
releasing the pressure whenever the other bowler builds it.
exactly. You have three or four good bowlers, and then you have one or two average bowling, and that's been the issue with Sunrisers last year. It continues to trickle into this year as well. Um, and that's why Rashid also gets hit sometimes, because the pressure gets released, and then they can really, he tries too hard, and then he goes for those few extra. And the I mean, yes, they were 10 runs short, but I think that the batting needs to take the blame. I think this was still a gettable total if they were played smartly. uh, I mean, I think the openers just tried too hard. They just didn't go through. Manish Pandey was a silly run. He's usually a good judge of a single. He shouldn't have gone for
He's
that, in
very
my
quick
opinion.
between the wickets, so like if he
Yeah.
fell that
So
short, then it
yeah,
wasn't a run at all.
exactly. And Warner is still struggling. I've been mentioning this. He's really not. He's not able to middle those balls. He's been struggling. Bairstow started off slowly. He should have really kicked on from there, but he wasn't able to. He got a decent one from Jaddu, no doubt. Kane Williamson, of course, the shining light in a relatively poor batting performance, but he's not good enough. I mean, you need some support from the other end as well, right? If
Yeah.
wickets kept falling, Vijay Shankar, he came in, he gave a couple of, he scored a couple of good shots, and then he just went organs blazing, which was not needed. He really needed just support, and you got that 8 7 8 runs in the first two balls. You just need to rotate the strike. The game was yours to take at that, even at that stage, but losing wickets consistently didn't help the Sunrisers team. There's some thinking they need to go back. They need to see how they can improve their balance. If they need to get in an extra spinner, if they need to get in an extra middle order player, how to maybe fit Nabi in, because he can be very crucial in these kind of pitches with his ball as well as with the bat. So try to figure out how that's going to happen. It's very difficult considering the way the team is set up right now, but there's going to be some thinking that needs to go through with this for sure.
Yeah, and do you think the method at the top, Warner and Westwood, do you think that's where they got it wrong? Because you mentioned Sam Curran. He hit 22 runs of the over. They lost by 20 runs in the end. I mean, those 22 runs, yes, like after that, Watson and Raidu had a partnership, but it wasn't that quick, that partnership. There was still, like, maybe going 6, 7 and over. But that Curran over where he hit 22 runs, maybe Sunrisers, I'm not saying like Warner should have hit like 30 runs and over, but maybe be a bit more attacking, at least one of the two players, because you saw both of them were a bit conservative. Yes, the middle order, maybe they have that in mind. The middle order is a bit weak. There are batsmen short. Maybe that's why. But when you have the Williamson there at two down, maybe attack a bit more when it's an 8.5 run rate required, because Williamson is striked at 145. So it was a pretty decent strike rate at the end. But the opener, maybe you need something faster at the top when the ball is new.
I think Warner mentioned very like he kind of brought it up over there about being they were worried about that less batter. I think they had one batter shot, so they were worried about that, and they just took too much pressure on themselves to really give them a solid start, and that didn't really. I mean, eventually when you try that, more often than not doesn't work out. The likes of Warner and Bairstow just go out, play their game, and then just hope like someone like a Kane and Pandey can confirm.
Yeah.
I mean, can manage if needed, if they can get out quickly.
Because
But
you would
like you,
rather lose by, I mean, like it doesn't matter if you lose by 20 or 40 runs. If you lose,
yeah,
you lose, right? So like
exactly.
maybe rather take a risk and lose. Maybe like I'm being a bit more critical. But if
Yeah,
you just look at the strike rates, Warner was 69.23 in his 13 balls. Bairstow was 95.83 in his 24 balls. So
yeah.
both striking below 100, and Williams is striking 146 when it gets a bit harder to bat, and it's slower. So with the new ball, maybe they should have taken more initiative.
I agree 100%. I think, and especially because you saw Karan go all guns blazing in the first couple of overs. He really tonked Khalil for about 20 runs in that over. So something like that could just push the momentum in our side, and they could have. I mean, they could have tried that and failed. I would have understood, but they just kept just knocking around for singles. They were really they lacked that. They were way too worried about that less batsmen in the team, I think, and that, I mean, in the end, yes, it showed, but by the time the game was already done. So they could have really gone all guns blazing. At least maybe one of them should have gone all guns blazing at least, and maybe the other one could have uh, played around a little bit slowly. But it's I mean, there's, in hindsight, a lot of these things can go. We can talk about a lot of these things, but definitely they lack that little bit of a grit in the towards the beginning of the innings.
Yeah, and your player of the match. It might be difficult for you, but
Now I have to go with Sam Curran. I
he's
think
turning into
he,
an Albie Merkel, man. Dhoni,
yeah,
no, I
exactly.
mean, yeah, I have to give credit to Dhoni there. Like, he knows how to utilize the players. But Curran himself, he's probably not the most ideal T20 player, but now he's turning into one.
Absolutely, he's an absolutely incredible player. I mean, with the he's opening the bowling, he's opening the batting. What more you expect from a player?
Yeah, no,
That's
I
that's
just thought,
exactly.
because he has a bit lack of pace, but I think on these wickets, it's helping his
It's
bowling.
helping. Yep, it's helping him for sure. No
And
doubt
even
about that.
I thought, like, playing on the slower surfaces, he might struggle with the bat, but he's smashing it. And I think when he has a clear order, a clear game plan, it's really helping CSK. And despite them losing so many games, he's always been there about contributing here. There maybe not like match winning contributions, but he's contributed in almost every game for them.
Yeah, I agree, and the it was a smart move to send him up the order. I think just you make the most of the first 6 overs, and he was able to do that. That's what was expected of him.
I
And
think
then you
that's
have the
where they
likes
won
of
the
Watson.
game.
Yeah, and then in now suddenly this team looks a little bit more balanced. They have that extra bowling option. They have the top seven batsmen who can do decently. So suddenly, I mean, unfortunate Jagdishan doesn't get an option, but opportunity. But I mean, this team is if your top. I keep mentioning this. If your top 6 or 7 can't do it, your last 3 or 4 will never be able to do it for you. You know, so like you have to have your solid 6 players in the top who can really score you those 160 runs, and then you have good 5 bowlers in the bottom who can. And if you get an all rounder like Samkar in the middle, of course it adds to the bowling unit and the batting unit. But an all rounder is yes, of course it's always needed, but you have to go with your top six players, and your bottom five should be bowlers, and
Yeah.
that's how you're going to win this game.
Yeah.
That's the best way to do it.
But for a foreign player to play in these conditions, it's not that easy. We saw Narayan struggle. Narayan had the same role for KKR, but like Sam Curran is doing a magnificent job.
Absolutely, he's doing very very well. I mean, he seems like the kind of cricketer who wants to like play whatever is asked of him. He wants to do it. He seems like the Rahul Dravid of Indian cricket. You know, like
Yeah.
whatever is needed off of him, he just goes out there and he brings it to the table. I mean, that's nice to see from a youngster like him. And he's under the right wings in Dhoni, Bravo, and all these other Stephen Fleming, all these experienced players giving him all the right kind of education, and it's gonna make him a better player.
Yeah, definitely. I think I agree with you as well. I would have given Sam Curran as the like as the player of the match.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we wrapped up everything. Any last thoughts about this game?
No, I think Chennai now suddenly looking like they might make the top four. Hyderabad
With
looking like they
one
might
game,
finish.
with
I'm telling you, I've been mentioning this team is not cannot be written off because this is now starting to be is starting to get in their favor. Watch them be even better in Abu Dhabi because those pitch are even more slower. They're gonna win with 120, 130 runs. Also, they'll like be able to make victories out of that. I just feel like,
interesting.
and the only thing that I noticed was Dhoni. I've never really seen him phase out the way he was. He was
Yeah,
so
I wanted
mad
to
at
ask
Karan
you.
Sharma. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
he was so mad. Karan Sharma, he was
He's
messing around
losing
with
his
the
cool.
umpire. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not normal. Like, the moment Nadeem hit him for that four, he was like, "Nay," that's
Yeah,
just like, and then he
yeah.
went
You.
after him. And even though Karan Sharma was trying to run away, he called him back and he tried to explain to him what was going on and stuff like that. So he
Pressure
really he
getting
really
to like he
wants
really
it.
wants to. Yeah, he really
He
wants to
wants to
win.
win it. Yeah, he really wants to win it. He wants to be there and thereabout at least. So
Because
that's
normally you wouldn't expect of like even in a losing situation he wouldn't really lose his cool, but here I think he really wanted to win this game and try to turn the fortunes.
yeah.
And was that a wide?
It was definitely a wide. Definitely a wide.
Yeah, I haven't seen the umpire went like this, and then
It was just
I
like
haven't
Dhoni.
seen.
It was significant Dhoni pressure, you know. That's exactly what it was. Like Dhoni started shouting from there, and he just got scared, and he's like, "Oh, never mind." Makes no sense. He literally
I,
put his hand out and then he pulled it back in. That makes no
I
sense.
remember when we play with our friends in the backyard, like when the older guy like gives us a
Yeah,
stare, we quickly
yeah.
change our decision.
That's what
That's
I'm
what
saying. That's literally what it is.
but yeah, I mean, still, I think really good performance by CSK. Sunrisers have work to do, but they still have a really good team. I mean, they have a good bunch of players, some quality
Yeah,
players.
yeah.
So I think,
I think the number four spot. I mean, the top three look like they're running away with the games, but the number four spot is open for 3 or 4 teams at least. You know, so there's except for maybe Punjab, everyone else is kind of has an outside chance at least. Like
yeah,
maybe Sunrisers and CSK is a little bit more outside. KKR looks a little bit more possible to get it, but then Rajasthan is around the area as well. So, it's going to be an interesting second half of this tournament.
yeah, definitely. And just to, I'll get into detail with this as we go, like in the next time we do a precap for the
Yeah.
Sunrisers game. But with this wicket slowing down, would you like to see somebody like a Nabi, even if it's for Bairstow, because as the wickets go slow, maybe like a Saha can help Warner at the top, and then Nabi come in and get those overs because it is conducive to spin.
Yeah, I've been mentioning. I think I just the only problem is the four foreigners and the four that we have are doing pretty well. So it's just that issue. I mean, it's so hard
Imagine
because
you had
if
five Nabi for Shankar, that would be
that would
perfect.
have been, yeah, Nabi for Shankar would have been so perfect. Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's just difficult. I mean, and the only problem is that if you have to remove Johnny, then you have to figure out your wicket keeping issue. Then you bring in a Saha. Then you have to maybe remove like a
There's
Garg or a
complications,
Shankar.
yeah.
There's way too much going on over there. So
They'll really
it's
have to
just
assess
so
the pitch
difficult.
and then take that call,
Yeah,
probably.
if they really really need to, then they have to like maybe give Saha the just have him go up at the
All out.
top and just,
Yeah.
yeah, if he hit out or get out kind of, he can't try to use the balls, at the time. So
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that wraps up that game. And now moving on to tomorrow's game, Delhi Capitals versus the Rajasthan Royals. Rajasthan Royals, confident after their win at the weekend. Their youngsters stepping up. Now, if their foreign players can do the job, they can actually pull one off against Delhi. Delhi, the informed team, but they lost against Mumbai. They lost against a strong side, but a loss is a loss. So they'll be a bit conservative going into the game. And plus, we don't know about Rishabh Pant. He might not be playing tomorrow because I think it's a 1 week off for him because of the
yeah.
injury. So your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, like you said, I mean, these foreign players need to come to the party. None of the foreign guys, except for maybe Archer, has really performed with those big runs. The likes of Butler, the likes of Smith, the likes of Stokes, now that he's come in, these guys need to take that initiative and give them those runs at the top. And then the likes of Archer too, with the ball, has been consistent, and he needs a little bit more support. I think that every now and again there's a bowler that might shine a little bit, but there's no consistency apart from Archer, who's been very very good for them. So a little bit more fine tuning needed for Rajasthan, but they will take a lot of confidence from that victory in the last game. And Delhi, I think it was just a lapse for them. I don't think that they have anything at all that they should be worried about. They've been doing very very well. They should just continue to do it.
Yeah, and the pitch is getting slower, like you said. So, will that cause issues for a team like Rajasthan who have the big hitters? They have foreign players. I mean, Smith does play spin well, but in general, like Stokes and Butter, like the ball coming onto the bat.
I think Stokes also is a very, very good player, no doubt about that. But I agree with you. I think the pitches they'll have to. These guys are world class players. They can
Yeah,
adjust to these conditions very well. But I think now it's more important. They haven't played till now, and they've been able to get 3 victories out of the 7 games. But now it's so important for these big guys who've been paid the big money to really step it up. And if Rajasthan has any chance of making it to the top four, they need these guys to step it up for them. And they
yeah.
really haven't done anything at all. But with due respect, I mean, there has been an odd game where Butler scored a few runs. There has been an odd game in the beginning when Smith has scored. But I think that these top three, and then added to that, Sanju Samson also needs to, like, these top four need to get the bulk of the runs, so that the bowling unit can have something to chase, or something to defend. So that's going to be very important.
Especially when you're playing against a high quality Delhi attack, I think the foreigners need to step up. The likes of Rabada, Ashwin,
Yeah.
Nokia, it's going to be difficult, but so they'll need the foreigners to step up. The players to watch out for each team for you?
Um. I'd like to see how Stokes goes around. He's been able to, like, no match practice really for him, but I think he's in there now properly. So I think it'll be good to see if he can really get going. And from Delhi, I want to continue to see Ashwin, man. He's just so interesting to see. And with these slower pitches, he's going to start getting
Yeah.
more effective. So it'll be fun to see him.
That may be the difference in the game. The middle overs, Akshay Patel and Ashwin versus Ashreyas Gopal in
Yeah,
Rajasthan. That might be where the game tilts. So,
absolutely.
and which team are you backing for tomorrow?
Delhi.
Going Rajasthan, baby. Ben Stokes. I just feel that they have high quality players, like you said, who can adapt, and
Yeah.
now is the time to adapt. Like they
Yep.
need to get a string of wins to get that fourth spot. So I think it'll be an interesting game. I'm just going with Rajasthan, and watch out for the. It's going to be Jafra Archer versus Rabada. Tipping Archer to win this battle this time around.
Nice. And I'm expecting Tavatia first ball duck, by the way.
Tevatia, I forgot about him, man. I
First ball
forgot about
duck.
him.
First ball duck.
Tevatia to win it. He's the
he's
player to
he's
watch
a
out for.
he's a good lad. I mean, there seems like a lot of vigor in him, but I just feel like he's gonna get out very quickly, and he's gonna get dunked for some runs as well. I just feel like he's gonna have an off game. He's had a couple of very good games, but I think he's gonna have an off game.
He's gonna have an off game. You're calling the predictions. It'll be interesting to see what happens tomorrow. But thank you so much for joining me today. It was a good discussion, and hope to catch you tomorrow. And hoping for a thrilling game.
Yep. As always, take care.
Thank you. Take care.